Hey friends, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we normally do. We went to the Lauren Roberts book tour, and on that book tour someone had asked about where sticky buns came about, and Lauren was talking about how they're kind of like a Cinnabon, but they're honey, and it's like a sweet dough with a honey drizzle. So we're gonna try and make those today. If you don't know, I own a bakery, and so I have a sweet dough recipe. So we're gonna try to alter that to make it more honey forward, since that's what it's like in the book. So if you wanna make these, follow along. Okay, so I have my little recipe card. I have the recipe posted down in the description box, but it's pretty straightforward and easy. So you're first gonna take a cup of warm milk, heated to 110 degrees if you have a thermometer. If you don't, then I just heated it up for like 45 seconds, and that seemed to do pretty good. And then to that, you're gonna add a fourth a cup of honey. And here's a little trick. If you spray your measuring cup with like avocado oil or vegetable oil or something, the honey won't stick. Now this is not a fourth a cup because I don't know where my fourth cup is. This is half a cup. So we're just gonna eyeball half. And you can use whatever honey you have. I'm just using a local honey that I bought. And then to the milk and honey, you're gonna add 1 tablespoon of instant yeast. I use instant yeast just because it's quicker, and active yeast takes forever. So I'm just gonna give that a little bit of a mix, and then we're gonna let it activate for about 5 minutes and come back to make sure it did activate. If you make the milk too hot, it'll kill the yeast, but you want it hot enough to make it active. So that's why I say 110 degrees, like 45 seconds. If it gets too hot, just add a splash of cold milk to it. Okay, so you see how it's bubbly. This is how you know your yeast is activated. If it is not bubbly, do not use it. You have bad yeast, or you killed it by making milk too hot. If it doesn't bubble, the yeast will not make the bread rise. So now that the yeast is active, we're gonna add half a stick of melted butter. I melted this before I activated the yeast. That way it was kind of cooled off by the time I added it, because I didn't want to add it when it was too super hot. Add all of that. We're gonna add just a pinch of salt. Then we are gonna add 2 large eggs. We're gonna give that a really good mix to combine it. I'm using a whisk, that way I make sure the eggs are good and mixed in. After you get that good and mixed, we're gonna add in 4 cups of flour. I measure my flour with a scale just because that's easier. But if you don't have a scale, just measure 4 cups of flour as good as you can. And if you do have a scale, 4 cups of flour is about 500 grams of flour. Now, I am the worst about measuring, so I kind of go based off looks. I will add more after I mix this in if it is too wet, and if it is too dry, you can just add a splash more milk. But I'm gonna take this spatula and I'm just gonna mix it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna use my hand. If you have a stand mixer, this part is a lot easier. I just have a very small kitchen in my house and I don't have room for a stand mixer here. But if you do have a stand mixer, mix it together easily, like very easily, until the flour is combined, and then put on your dough hook and mix it for about 5 minutes on that. But I'm gonna mix this together a little bit. I'll show you kind of what it looks like, and then I'm gonna knead it by hand for about 5 minutes. So give me 1 second. Okay, so this is about what it looks like by the time I've mixed everything together. It does kind of look a little bit wet, so I'm gonna put it down on my piece of parchment paper, and then I will see if I need to add any more flour to it, which I do. So I'm gonna add a little sprinkle of flour on top. Added a little bit more flour on top. Now I'm just gonna knead it for about 5 minutes until it is way less sticky than it is. So once you have yourself a little dough ball that looks kind of like that, we're gonna spray our bowl. We're gonna put our little dough ball inside the bowl, and then you're gonna cover it with, I'm using the press and seal stuff. You can use a wet dishcloth or aluminum foil or something, but I find press and seal works the best. And we're gonna let this rest in your kitchen or a warm place for 1 to 2 hours until it doubles in size. Okay, so it's been about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes, and this is what we are looking like. And you want it to just have been doubled in size and fluffy, so favorite part's punching it down. We're gonna take it and we're gonna roll it into a rectangle. I've already put this onto a floured surface. I'm gonna grab my rolling pin and a little bit more flour. I just like to dust the top of it with a little bit of flour, and then my rolling pin, so that way it does not stick. Okay, so you're gonna want a rectangle when you finish rolling it to look similar to this. And then we're gonna make our filling, and we're gonna do a stick of butter with about 1.5 cups of sugar. And we're gonna just spread it out everywhere on this surface. So after you finish spreading all of this everywhere, you're gonna roll it up in a log and then cut it in like 1-inch sections. Somehow I have lost the video of me rolling it and I have no idea where it went. So you're just going to grab it from the end and keep pinching it in and roll it into a really tight log. And then you're going to cut it in 1-inch sections and place it in a baking sheet like this. Make sure the baking sheet is greased. And then you're going to cover it again and let them rise for 30 minutes or until they're doubled in size again. And while these are rising, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes and I'm gonna look at these. This is what we're looking like. They are pretty much doubled from what they were. So now we're gonna put these in the oven and we're gonna bake them. We're gonna slide these in for 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown. Okay, so this is what mine are looking like. It did take about 25 minutes in my oven. So while these cool, we're gonna make the honey glaze to go on top. Okay, so to our mixing bowl, we are gonna add about 1.5 to 2 cups of powdered sugar, about 3 tablespoons of honey, and then 2 tablespoons of milk. I just eyeball. And then we're gonna add a tiny splash of vanilla. And then I have no idea where my whisk went, so I'm just gonna mix it together like this. And you just want to make sure with the frosting you have the right consistency. You can add more or less of the milk and powdered sugar to make it the consistency you want. And I want this to be a little bit more runny than that, so I'm gonna add just another splash of milk. Not much at all. And we're gonna mix that together. And that is about the consistency that I'm looking for. We're gonna wait till these cool for about 10 minutes and then we'll put this on top. So now that these have cooled, you're just gonna drizzle the honey glaze all over the top of them, however much or little you want. And there you have it. Paedyn worthy sticky buns.